Hello folks, Anahita Rao. Today I want to discuss an important transit, but before I do that, I wanted to say a big thanks to those who have subscribed, as well as those who leave feedback. And of course, for those who have not yet done so, please click the red icon on the right hand side. It will only take a second. Yeah? Alright, let's get started. We have a lot to talk about here. Alright, so Jupiter will go into Pisces on April the 13th, 2022, remain there till April the 21st of 2023. Jupiter will go retrograde from July the 29th of this year till November the 24th. Even throughout its retrograde period, this is a Jupiter transit where Jupiter will stay in Pisces and not regress to an earlier sign. This is a pattern that we have not seen in years since its transit in Libra. Yeah. So it's been a few years, at least 6 years. So this is a positive transit for two other reasons. First is, of course, that it's finally left behind Saturn's signs of Capricorn and Aquarius, where positive growth can become restricted and at times even stunted. And secondly, it's going to transit through familiar territory, its own sign of Pisces. Water and fire energy, that element of water and fire, is much more compatible for Jupiter as it feels at home here. In other words, it's able to express its energy with ease and without the resistance it may experience in Saturn's signs. Jupiter's expansive energy is well received in fire signs for creation and for invention. And in water signs, Jupiter can bring healing, compassion, and wisdom in its highest form. In Pisces, you can harness this energy most effectively if you connect with a higher power. This will enable you to feel that you're in the right place at the right time. And connecting with that inner source and paying special attention to your dreams at this time for guidance will also help. This transit can help you to look at the big picture, the larger perspective, especially at the time when Saturn and nodal transit can create challenges. Yeah, it can also help you to become more grounded and centered by going inward, letting go of excess in any area of life, and revisiting the basics, basically simplifying. Now, what does Jupiter represent? From a purely astronomical perspective, Jupiter has protected life on Earth for hundreds of millions of years by shielding us from comets. In astrology, it offers protection where it is placed, and it acts as sort of a guiding light. In fact, just a little bit of a digression here, I would encourage those that are learning astrology to also read up on astronomy to make your foundational understanding stronger. And I don't mean like textbooks of astronomy, just just the simple stuff, just so that you can get some clarity on why we assign certain attributes to certain planets. One of the most visible characteristics of Jupiter is a giant red spot. Yeah, and which is essentially it's a storm. And Jupiter, in fact, is known to have the most extreme environment in the solar system. And we also know that lightning exists in the clouds of Jupiter. So the presence of this lightning, of course, hints at vast amounts of water. It's known to be 300 times more heavy than Earth. And Jupiter provides the Earth with its most precious ingredient to survive, which is water. More than 2/3 of Earth is covered with water. Because apparently Jupiter had flung water into the inner solar systems, creating the conditions for life on Earth as we know it to be possible. So here we can see the reasons we associate Jupiter most strongly with the element of water and also fire. Essentially, Jupiter is a life-giving force like the sun, but not as directly as the sun being regarded as essential, the basic sustenance. But this is the reason that we give Jupiter the Jivkaraka status in astrology, because more than just basic sustenance, it personifies that spark within us. Jiva is the word for life. Essentially, this is life force, prana, and hence one of the reasons that Jupiter is associated with spirituality and spiritual practice. It's the role of Jupiter to move the soul from one life to another. And our greatest fulfillment also can come through Jupiter. What we're here to do, our higher purpose. And therefore, its placement in the chart is the area where an individual can shine through and connect with their own divinity. It's also a generative energy and a regenerative energy. And so therefore, it's the Karaka for children, as that's a product of creation. And that same sexual or regenerative energy is also creative energy. Right? And this is the fire principle. Because it moves slowly and takes 1 year to transit a sign and 12 years to come back to the place where it sits in your sign, everyone will feel its impact one way or the other. In Kendra and trine houses, Jupiter is very supportive, so this is a great transit for Cancer, for Scorpio, for Virgo, for Gemini, Sagittarius, and of course Pisces. Through Jupiter's transit in Pisces, it's going to impact 3 nakshatras, as usual. And by looking at nakshatras, by looking at constellations, we can go one step deeper, and we can uncover the underlying pulse of the planets' transits, its subtle energies, and therefore a deeper layer. So Jupiter starts the transit in Purva Bhadra, where it has already been transiting since March the 2nd in the Aquarius portion, and will stay till April the 29th. If you thought about cultivating any new good habits, this would be an excellent time for that. For example, early waking up regimes, a healthier diet, a new spiritual practice, a new yoga practice, reconnecting with a guru, meeting a guru. Good for any research-related activities, digging deeper into astrology, and taking leaps and risks in business as well. Good time to turn vegetarian if you considered it. And if you ever thought about adopting an animal, it's a good time to do so. It's basically a good time to look after the basics of life and place an emphasis on becoming grounded. Jupiter enters Uttarabhadra on April the 29th, and this would be an excellent time to travel, especially to faraway lands or cultures that are very different from yours. Jupiter moving through Uttarabhadra, the focus is on penance. So the focus is on making sacrifices, letting go, admitting your mistakes. At this time, work done in solitude can produce excellent results. And it's also a good time to retire if you ever thought about that. With both the Bhadras being activated at this time, the focus is on going inward. Purva Bhadra is signified by Aja Ekapada, which is essentially Rudra energy. Again, penance and letting go. It's connected to the story about Daksha, who had abused his son-in-law, insulted his son-in-law, Shiv, Shiva, which led Sati to basically immolate herself. But eventually Daksha became devoted to Shiva through penance and things like that. Whereas Uttarabhadra is less fierce. It's connected to Ahir Budhyana. Again, it's that serpent metaphor we see here. In this story, it's about the serpent who serves Vishnu by becoming his abode, his bed. How he can travel and move around. This is essentially that Dashna energy. So it's less fierce than the Rudra energy. In this story, Ahir Budhyana was rejected by his mother. So after doing penance, he became the protector of Vishnu. Both stories essentially show tremendous struggle before reaching their destination, before reaching success, you could say. The wisdom, of course, here is that whatever we believe is ours will be taken away from us. So expect some struggle while Jupiter moves here throughout the year. And then Jupiter will move into Revathi on February the 24th, 2023 till 22nd of April of 2023. Unfortunately, it's just a short it's a very short 2-month period in Revathi. This is where we can actually see the poetic and philosophical side of Jupiter. And at the same time, Rahu will be moving through Ashwini, the healing nakshatra. So if you've embraced a conscious, simplistic lifestyle by now, you will see positive effects at this time. And you will be able to see why you did it. You'll be able to see the bigger picture. So as usual, see where Jupiter falls in your chart and what it rules to understand what areas will get impacted. This Jupiter transit, regardless of what it represents, is a good time for closure, letting go of everything that's outdated, being that it's in the natural 12th house. It's a good time for studying spiritual subjects, giving to charity, healing activities, long distance travel, music, creative activities, and bringing anything to completion. Now remember that Jupiter transits the same place every 12 years, and astrology is what? Astrology is basically showing us the patterns in our lives. So it's very important to see what happened in your life 12 years ago, because the same themes and issues may arise. Of course, your life would have changed in those 12 years, but similar issues could come up. Similar areas of your life are getting impacted. Yeah. So when was that? Last time we had a Jupiter in Pisces transit was from May the 1st, 2010 till November the 1st, 2010. And then again from December the 5th, 2010 till May the 7th, 2011. This is especially important for those who are experiencing a Jupiter return in their chart. If your natal Jupiter is in Pisces, a 12-year period has just ended and a new 12-year phase is now starting. So it's time to plant new seeds. Anything you start, whether it's a new project, a business, a career, residence, relationship, spiritual practice, you can be sure that Jupiter's blessings will be there. Being in a Jupiter return cycle, you will undergo a big shift in one of these areas, at least, possibly more than one area. Usually, Jupiter return is a lucky year where you're in the right place at the right time. It's a year when people show up in your life to help you achieve your goals and your desires. So it's very important to have clear intentions, as they will bring positive results at this time. When assessing the impact, as usual, see Jupiter's lordship, keeping it in mind its natural significations, and where it's placed in your chart. And of course, see if it's getting direct aspects from other planets, as this will color the results that you get. So for example, if your 10th lord is in Pisces or Virgo, then Jupiter's transit will impact your career. Right? In the same way, if it is impacting 7th Lord by conjunction or aspect, then this may mean that you are starting a new relationship or getting married, for instance. You can't disregard what dasha you're going through, but if the dasha lines up, then the transit basically triggers it, the event. Yeah. Any natal planet sitting in Pisces will be impacted directly. So see what you've got in Pisces. So now I'm going to go through all the signs and give a brief and, of course, general overview. Yeah. Let's start with Aries. For Aries, Jupiter is going into your 12th house. This is Jupiter's natural home, so it's comfortable here. But it's also the house of loss of the physical and gain of the astral. So take care of your health at this time, particularly because it's aspecting that 12th Lord aspecting the 8th house also. 12th house is the house of seclusion, of isolation, of charity, but also expenses. So you could be spending a lot at this time. Dreams, visions, and messages from the astral world will be available. So pay attention to your inner voice. Pay attention to your dreams. Perhaps write them down. Yeah. You may also be able to solve a lingering issue by paying attention to those dreams and to what's that voice inside again. Yeah, the solution could come to you like this. Right? It is, of course, a great time to let go of things that you don't use anymore, your possessions, perhaps even certain people in your life, ideas that are holding you back, outdated thoughts. Great time to give up any sort of addiction. Great time to connect to nature and spirituality and meditation. So perhaps do a meditation retreat or something, so that you can get ready for the next big cycle. This is the last year of a 12-year cycle coming to an end for you. So it's a good time to start a spiritual practice, especially good for retreats, as I said, like yoga retreats, meditation retreats. Great time to relocate abroad or take trips to unknown places that perhaps you've never been before. It could also be a spiritual pilgrimage that you thought about doing. With this aspect on your 4th and 8th houses, you could also get unexpected gains from insurance, joint resources, or from property. It would also be a good time to invest in property. All right, for Taurus, well, for you, it's an excellent transit. Jupiter is going into your 11th house. It's great for income, of course. It could double your income. It could introduce a new stream of income. It's great for relationships. It's good for all-round prosperity. 11th represents gains of all kinds. It also represents social connections, networking, the fulfillment of desires. It's a very important house. It's the highest of the Kama houses, and not just that, but it's also the highest of the Upachaya houses. It's the 8th Lord transiting the 11th house. Jupiter is not the best planet for Taurus, so you may have to let something go in your life for growth, for new things to come into your life. You may have to let something go first. Sources of income may increase. It's a great time actually to develop connections. So go out there and meet people. Community work, if you thought about doing that, good time for that. Excellent time for that. Especially if it's got any kind of a charitable aspect to it. With this aspect on your 7th, 5th, and 3rd houses, it's good for, it blesses those areas. So children, marriage, career, income, all planets do well in the 11th, especially Jupiter and Saturn. For Gemini, for you, Jupiter is going into your 10th house. This is the 7th Lord in the 10th house, so great for becoming more visible. You could see an increase in your status or your image, could change in a favorable way. Your career will see some big shifts and changes. 10th house dominates the chart, so you can get involved with some good activities at this time. when Jupiter is transiting there. It's a great time for seeking a mentor, develop yourself, to develop your career. And it could even be related to your life path. It's a great time to build relationships with those in a higher position than you. Doors can open up for you with just a little bit of effort. Be careful with your relationship with the bosses and persons in authority. It is a good yoga, though, for any wealth building activities. Yeah, if you're practical, your ambitions will be rewarded and more powers will be granted to you. If you're considering marriage, then you can meet someone who's well respected with perhaps a higher status or image, and perhaps also someone more popular than you. Yeah. Cancer, what's happening for you? Well, Jupiter is moving into your 9th house. Excellent transit for you. You'll feel much, much better and also be perceived in a more positive light than you have been in the past few years with that Saturn transit and Jupiter transit. Neither of them were favorable, but this is a very auspicious transit for you. You can meet people who help you achieve your goals. The house of luck and prosperity is getting activated. It's the 9th lord in the 9th house. Excellent time for recognition and success in all your endeavors. So, take some chances now. All areas of your life are being blessed as it aspects your 1st and your 5th house. If you're single, you could meet someone while you're traveling. It's a great time for starting higher studies. If you ever thought about doing that, it's a fantastic time for that. Good time to build your qualifications in any way, like add some skills, develop your ideas for research and things like that. 9th house is also the house of advisors and guides, so you could consider taking advice and guidance from an astrologer, or a counselor, or a therapist, or a guru, or any expert. You will get good advice. It's a great time to improve your relationship with your father. Its aspect in your 5th house can bring a fulfilling new relationship, and also it's a good time for childbirth if you're considering that. You'll feel regenerated and renewed as it's aspecting your 1st house, bringing enthusiasm and optimism for new beginnings. Yeah. Leo, what's happening for you? Well, for you, Jupiter is entering the 8th house. 8th house represents obsessions, fears, subconscious thoughts, and these will inevitably come to the surface. You can develop an interest in occult, spirituality, healing modalities, or go deeper into these at this time. Yeah, so look out for any kind of knowledge that comes your way that will help you explore this further and deeper. It's the best time to go deeper into any practice you had started. Intuition will also become sharper and clearer. 8th house is also research. So it's a good time to research something that perhaps will help you find a solution to an ongoing problem. There will also be a feeling that divine help will come your way when you need it the most. 8th house also represents reproductive organs, so you may conceive a child now. If you are having any reproductive issues, they will come to the light and you can resolve them once and for all. It's a great time, as I said, for spiritual practice. It will clear away all the confusion, and also a great time for any nature retreats because it's aspecting your 12th house. Yeah. Overall, it's a good time for any self-awareness type of initiatives that you take on. 8th is also second from 7th, so it shows gain from others. It could be joint investments. If you had split up with someone, it could be a profitable settlement. It's also great for sudden gains after some struggle. With the 5th lord in the 8th house, this can point to some ups and downs in love relationships, though. It could be some endings, but also new beginnings. Yeah. Hidden matters will come to the surface now. So any secrets or affairs can be revealed now. especially if you're in a relationship. If you're doing research, it's an excellent time for that, as I said. Yeah. You can really get to the heart of a matter right now if you want to do that. It's an excellent transit for healers, for counselors, for teachers. But take care of your health, because chronic ailments can also disturb you at this time, but they can come to the surface, so you can deal with them once and for all. Yeah. Virgo, what is happening for you? You're having a good transit this time. You've got Jupiter transiting your 7th house, Kendra house. So this Jupiter transit should balance out the challenging Rahu transit for you at this time. With this aspect on your 11th, it's a good time to make connections with others. You may meet someone that you deeply connect with. You may also get serious about a current partner and get married if that's what you're planning. So where relationships are concerned, you have luck with you, as you'll meet good people who will bring you opportunities leading to prosperity. Business partnerships will also be blessed, so it's a great time to form alliances of all types. Your earnings from business ventures could also increase at this time. Your contacts will also be very supportive. It's a great time to nurture relationships with others, because you'll be viewed in a positive light. With this aspect on the 3rd house, if you wanted to start a new business or a new project, it's a good time for that. It's good for boosting earnings, and also an excellent time to fulfill any long-held dreams, wishes, goals. Watch for being too indulgent, though, at this time, because of its aspect on your 1st house. Libra, what's happening for you? Well, it's the transit is happening in your 6th house. 6th house is a house of health, enemies, court cases, diseases. You may be placed in the position to help those who are victims of disease, legal issues, arguments, things like that. 6th Lord and 6th house. So even with the challenges, you'll be able to overcome obstacles, problems that come your way. It aspects the 2nd and 10th house, so it's the best time to work diligently in life, as this will bring success. Normally, daily routines can feel like a burden, but with Jupiter transiting here, you could develop a better routine, and you'll enjoy work more as well. It would be a good time to spend with family. You can earn well from your job at this time, and also gain from family assets. It's a great time to focus on health matters. Right? You can explore new areas of health, start a new regime, like a new routine, a habit. See which foods are healing. Look into alternative therapies. It's a good time to have a checkup. Especially a good time to create a new diet. And this transit will help you change your lifestyle in a positive way. By creating good habits. And it's a great time to get a pet or spend more time with your pets. If you've been thinking about taking a trip abroad, this is an excellent time because of its throwing aspect on your 12th house of long distance travel. Scorpio, this is a great transit to have Jupiter in your 5th house. At the same time, Rahu is in the 6th, so it's a very good transit for you. Here, Jupiter is confident, creative, and it can channel divine intelligence. This transit can also bring luck in your speculative and investment activities. For example, the stock market. Good for childbirth if you're aiming for this, and it's good for pursuing studies. You'll become more creative, more artistic. You can change your appearance, your image, and you'll see benefits immediately if you did that. Great time for investments, great time to grow your business. 5th house is house of promotions. So you can ask for a promotion at this time. Past life karma, good deeds will be rewarded as they will come to the surface. 5th house transit of Jupiter, especially being so strong in Pisces, is really excellent. So I'd say make the most of it. If you're single and you're planning to get into a relationship, it's an excellent time. Great time to pursue anything that you love, that brings you joy and happiness. Your inner calling, as they say. Aspect of the 9th house in your Lagna is a great blessing, and it can give you some lucky breaks at this time. So Good time to take some chances. Jupiter transit can bring lots of good options your way, so you have to choose wisely. Yeah. Sagittarius, what's happening for you? For you, this transit is happening in your 4th house, so it's a great time to move residence or change things up in your home, redecorate maybe. Great time to connect with your family, good time to buy or invest in property, good time for long-term investments. If you wanted to study a new subject, now is a good time to start. 4th house represents comforts, anything that feels like being at home. It also represents mothers, cars, land, property, luxuries. Your traditional philosophies can now make sense to you. It's a good time to visit your birthplace. If you marry now, then your spouse can provide a strong emotional anchor for you. And it's generally a good period for your domestic life. Capricorn, something for you. Jupiter is moving into your 3rd house in Pisces, so it can be some opportunities for travel that come up, setting up your own business if you've thought about doing that. 3rd house signifies self-effort. It signifies initiative, entrepreneurial effort, including online projects. So it's a good time for writing books, blogs, any sort of written communication. Also a great time for developing your hobbies. You can take your hobby and turn it into a business if you like at this time. If you wanted to start a new endeavor, a new business, a new website, for example, this is a year to do it. You may put energy in connecting with your younger siblings also at this time. 3rd house also represents the subconscious mind, so it shows ways of connecting with people. Yeah. Petty issues, though, can crop up with others, so be aware of this. Many things will start to make sense to you now. You can also start to see new relationships develop because of Jupiter's aspect on your 7th house. Aspecting the 7th and 11th brings blessings towards all relationships. Getting involved with groups and community work is also very good at this time for you. Aquarius, what's happening for you? Jupiter is going into your 2nd house. 2nd house is a house that sustains us by way of food, wealth, family. You'll get support from your family now. Wealth can increase. New opportunities for financial growth can come your way. Best time to save money. Your speech may become more refined, and in this way you can attract others to you. Secondary source of income like inheritances from family, partner, could also come your way. It's also great for career matters, to make a place in your career, to increase your status. If you had health issues, the solutions to healing will come. So be open and try alternative therapies, alternative paths. Work could keep you busy, and your earnings can also experience a jump at this time. Pisces. So, you'll be having the best Jupiter transit. It's going into your 1st house. Fantastic place. Especially if you're a Pisces Lagna. Whenever Jupiter enters a Kendra house, especially the Lagna, Jupiter gets Digbala here, meaning directional strength, making you feel very positive. Whenever a planet gets Digbala, its energy is more easily expressed. Here Jupiter expands all matters related to the 1st house, creating a healthier ego, physical body, intelligence, thereby increasing your popularity, your social status perhaps. Sources of wealth can increase. Good time to get married because of its direct aspect to your 7th house. Great time to start a new business. Great for traveling to foreign places. Relationship with children will improve due to its aspect on the 5th house. If you start a spiritual practice, you will achieve success. And it's a good time to meet a guru. More likely the person will actually automatically come to you. If you want to make up relationships that have been damaged, then it's a good time to do this also. Overall, it's a great transit, so make the most of it, especially in 2022, when Saturn is also favorably transiting your 11th house. Yeah. Well, that's all for now, folks. If you like the video, please share, comment, and of course, subscribe. All the best to everyone. Take care. Bye.